at Crypto.com. The Lakers have won 6 straight. Connect made 9 3-pointers to tie a single-game record for NBA rookies. 7 of those 3-pointers came in the final 3 minutes of the third quarter. Connect has been in the starting lineup the last 3 games in place of Rui Hachimura, who's out with an ankle injury. In the 3 games, Connect is averaging 26 points and shooting 63%. It might be a while before we see Hachimura back in the starting lineup. Russell Westbrook earned his 200th career triple-double last night to help Denver beat Memphis. The 36-year-old Westbrook had 12 points, 10 rebounds, and 14 assists. I said it before and I'll say it again. Westbrook will still look good in a Clippers uniform. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sportsman, and I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 invites you to join us in celebrating the season of giving by being part of the solution. As we enjoy great food, family, warmth, and well wishes in whatever our festive tradition may be, we share the beauty of the season by reaching out to the less fortunate. Please help us to help others with the KBLA Cover the Houseless Cozy Community Coat and Blanket Drive. All you have to do is drop off new or clean, gently used winter coats and blankets in the KBLA lobby during business hours. Now through December 20th, all of the coats and blankets will be donated to unsheltered individuals and families experiencing houselessness. Simply bring your donation to 4434 Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles, near Vernon Avenue, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays. That's 4434 Crenshaw in historic Leimert Park. During the holidays and every day, let's remember, we keep us safe. We keep us warm. We are the safety net, and together we can cover the unsheltered. Get caught up in the spirit of the season, the spirit of love. Make a difference with your friends at KBLA Talk 1580.
Tavis, Smiley, and I am delighted to have you with us in this hour of our program. And in this hour, as promised, a conversation about some dark days a couple of decades ago. It has been over 20 years now since John Allen Muhammad, better known as the D.C. Sniper, African-American, of course, and his accomplice, another African-American named Lee Boyd Malveaux, terrorized the greater Washington, D.C. area and transfixed the nation, I remember it well, for 3 long weeks. I was on the air every day. The ex-wife of John Allen Muhammad joins us in this hour to talk about the attacks and her working witness since those dark days. Before we commence that conversation, let me take you back to a couple of decades ago.
The unprecedented murder spree began last night in Wheaton. The victim, a 55-year-old man shot dead walking into the Shoppers Food warehouse on Randolph Road. The murder captured on a surveillance camera. 13 hours later at Rockville Pike and Nicholson Lane, a landscaper is shot and killed. It's 7:41 a.m. Half an hour later, a cabbie is shot dead at this mobile gas station on Connecticut Avenue at Aspen Hill Road.
Just a loud noise and he's laying in the parking lot bleeding to death.
A nurse fueling her minivan next to the taxi cab rushes to the victim's side. He will not survive.
It started over there. I went over there and the guy's laying on the ground, blood all over the side of the van. He's laying on the ground, gasping for air, and the lady, she's standing there shaking. She was trying to help him.
25 minutes later, a little more than a mile away at Leisure World, a woman is murdered while sitting on a park bench in front of a post office. A witness to this shooting tells police he saw 2 men flee in a white delivery truck. Unbelievably, while the Montgomery County Police Chief and Deputy State's Attorney arrive at the gas station in Aspen Hill, the killer targets another woman at a Shell gas station on Connecticut Avenue in Kensington. Paramedics rush to the scene but cannot save the woman's life.
It's always shocking when you get a call like that at any point in time. It's certainly not good when it's right here in your own backyard.
Investigators say they're all but certain the same gunmen are responsible for all 5 murders.
We strongly feel that all of these are connected. Certainly The weaponry seems to be very similar, not a lot of evidence. There's no indication at this point that these individuals know each other. There's no indication that any of these individuals had any kind of conflict with anyone.
The search for the
That was over 2 decades ago. So for those of you who were around then, you remember all of that drama over that 3-week period. I'm pleased now to welcome to this program Mildred Muhammad, who is the ex-wife of the D.C. sniper, John Allen Muhammad. She is a domestic violence victims advocate. We'll get to that in this hour, but I'm pleased to have Mildred Muhammad on this program. Mildred, how are you today?
I'm doing good, sir. How about you?
If I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I'm doing remarkably well, and I'm delighted. I'm delighted to be in conversation with you about your work and witness over these last couple of decades. I promise we'll get to that. I'm glad I got you for the hour. There's a whole lot to unpack. But let me start with this. When you hear what I just played, that was obviously some audio of one of the local stations in D.C. A couple of decades ago, as this killing spree was just beginning. When you hear that audio, what do you think? What do you feel? How do you process it? What happened when you were on the line listening to that audio?
In the beginning of this event, I was unaware that it was John. So I was looking for the same profile as everyone else. However, I was also looking for John too. Mm. The profile did not fit the person that I was running from. So I'm looking for 3 people while everyone else is looking for 2.
Mm-hmm. When you say the profile did not fit the man you were running from, we'll get to the running from part. As I mentioned earlier, you were a domestic violence victims advocate. I think this smart audience can already figure this out. The connection and why you were running from John Allen Muhammad. But when you say the profile did not fit the man from whom you were running, unpack that for me.
Correct. The profile was 2 Caucasians in a white box truck. Mm-hmm. That didn't fit my ex.
Mm-hmm. When you say you were looking for 3, unpack that for me. You said you're looking for 3 people.
I was looking for 2 Caucasians in a white box truck. And I was looking for John. Mm-hmm. Everybody was looking for 2 people, and I was looking for 3.
Mm-hmm. And why, at that moment, were you looking for John?
Because he said that you have become my enemy, and as my enemy, I will kill you. Although I was living in Maryland, I had left Washington State to come to Maryland to help my sister to take care of my mom. And at that time, that is the reason why I was in the area. John was a 84th combat engineer. He was an expert shot. He was a hand-to-hand combat expert. He could make a weapon out of anything, and he could track. So when he said, you have become my enemy, and as my enemy, I will kill you, that meant to me, no matter where you are or where you go, I will find you and I will kill you.
Let me pause for a second. When we come forward, now that we understand the frame that we're in, when we come forward, as you can see, there's a great deal to talk about. We will unpack pretty forthrightly and pretty urgently here. When it occurred to Mildred Muhammad that these reports were wrong, and that it was, in fact, John Allen Muhammad who was behind these murders, the same John Allen Muhammad that was looking for her to kill her. Just getting started. As I said, glad I got it for the hour. It's Mildred Muhammad right now on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Moments like making my kids my famous meatballs mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that has spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Point! Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
Oh, I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
It does indeed. Our guest in this hour is Mildred Muhammad. She's the ex-wife of the D.C. sniper of a couple of decades ago, John Allen Muhammad, and I'm delighted to have her on this program. This year, the Violence Against Women Act turns 30 years. We celebrate the passage of the Violence Against Women Act, and so we will talk about domestic violence and all those related issues as we move through this hour. You heard Mildred Muhammad say a moment ago that she was running at the time of these murders by the D.C. sniper. She was running from John Allen Muhammad, so he had told her she had become his enemy and that he needed to kill her. So she's on the run from him. And he is terrorizing people all in the greater Washington, D.C. area. It has been, as I said, a couple of decades, and I'm just delighted to have her on to sort of look back at these dark days and what the lessons are from that as we talk about, again, the Violence Against Women Act 30 years later. So, Mildred, you said earlier, and you are correct for those of us who remember this, initially police reports were wrong about the persons they were looking for. They were reporting two Caucasians. It turns out to be the exact opposite. They were two African Americans. What do you recall about when you consciously came to recognize or accept that it was, in fact, John Allen Muhammad who they were looking for?
October 23rd, the FBI and the CIA knocked on my door, and they said, "When was the last time you seen John Allen Muhammad?" My hands began sweating, and I said, "Well, why are you asking me about John?" They said, "Well, we just want to know when was the last time you seen him." I said, "September 2001 at an emergency custody hearing in Tacoma, Washington." They said, "Well, you haven't heard of any other time?" I said, "No, sir." "You haven't heard of anything?" "No, sir." They said, "Well, we need for you to come down to the police station." I said, "I'm not going anywhere with y'all." He said, "Well, why aren't you?" I said, "Because I told y'all this man is trying to kill me, and I believe you have him at the police station, and you want me to come down to identify him." They say, "Miss Muhammad, we do not have him at the police station. We just need for you to come down to answer some questions." So I went and told my children, "Hey, I'm going with the police. I'll be right back. Don't go outside." They take me to the police station, and when I'm walking through the door, I see an FBI agent that I contacted earlier because my children were no longer in the country. He kidnapped them and took them outside of the country. I said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "Oh, I'm just here to report to investigate some homicides. I said, okay. So we go into the interrogation room. Two agents sit in front of me. One agent is sitting next to me. They say, so, Ms. Muhammad, you haven't heard from John Allen Muhammad? I say, no, sir. They say, well, look, we want you to listen to this tape, this CD. Tell us if you recognize the voice. I listened to the voice, and it had an accent. I said, well, no, I don't recognize the voice. They said, well, look at this letter. See if you recognize the handwriting. It was the letter that was posted to the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Muhammad, do you recognize this handwriting? I said, no, sir, I don't. So there was an agent that was walking back and forth, and he finally stopped, and he said, look, Ms. Muhammad, we just going to have to tell you. We're going to name your ex-husband as the sniper. My head hit the table. They said, well, do you think he would do something like that? I raised my head. I looked in the corner of the ceiling, and I said, yeah. They said, well, why would you think that? I said, because he said, as we were watching the movie, I can take a small city, terrorize it. They would think it would be a group of people, and it would only be me. I asked him why would he do something like that, but he changed the subject. They said, well, Miss Muhammad, didn't you know you were the target? I said, well, no, why would I think that? He said, okay, there was a man that was shot down the street from you 6 times. They took his laptop and $6,000. There was another man that was shot a couple of miles from you in the abdomen at a convenience store. Miss Muhammad, you were the target. They said, would you like to go into protective custody? I said, you have to ask me that? They say, well, yes, because some people don't want to go. I said, okay, have you caught him yet? No, ma'am. Do you know where he is? No, ma'am. And you still have to ask me? Yes, ma'am. So, yes, I want to go into protective custody, but we need to go and get my children. Went home to get my children. As soon as I walked through the door, I saw on TV where they were digging up the tree trunk that he was shooting into in Tacoma, Washington. And I saw my son. I say, honey, they're going to name your dad as the sniper. He started to melt to the floor. I say, but you can't break down right now because we got to go. When I got my daughter, told them the same thing. They took me and my children, my sister, my brother-in-law, to a hotel that I still don't know where it is. Once we got in the room, I turned on the TV, and first time they showed this picture. And I put my hand on the screen and said, what happened to you? My son was crying on one bed. My daughters were crying on the other. I gathered them together. They cried themselves to sleep. I got a pillow. I went in the bathroom, turned the water on in the sink and in the tub, closed the door, and screamed inside the pillow because I didn't know what to do and I didn't know who to call.
All right, we off and running now. I got some questions now. Thank you for just setting that up for me in a way that I can follow, and this audience can, of these horrific days that you encountered a couple of decades ago. Now, let me start with this. Your babies, your kids. Tell me a bit more about what it feels like to be in a moment like that, where you have to inform your kids that their father is about to be announced as the person they are searching for, better known as the DC sniper. How does a mother communicate that to her babies? How do you do that?
Well, when we got into the hotel room and I sat them down and I said, look, there's no easy way for me to tell you this because you already know mommy don't sugarcoat, but I do inform you of information that I feel you need to know. The police are getting ready to tell the world that your dad is the sniper. And this will be your first time seeing him on TV since I got you back. So whatever you're feeling, I want you to feel it, and then we'll talk about it if you need to. And so when they saw that, my baby girl say, Mom, what did Daddy do? I said, well, he killed innocent people, honey. He said, well, why? I said, because your dad found me, started shooting people around us so that he could kill me and get custody of you. So that issue was a domestic violence child custody issue. And so once they heard that, then that's when they really started crying.
Yeah.
And I'd say, I need you to cry, get it out. Let's deal with this and see what's best for you. Because at that moment, it was about them.
Yeah, no, I get it. I didn't mean to interrupt. It is about them. I get that part. How did you process these law enforcement agents telling you the story of all these persons that John Allen Muhammad was killing around you? He hadn't gotten to you yet, but he was killing all these persons around you. You were, as they said, the target. When you heard them say that to you and detailed the persons around you that he had killed, like what happens inside your spirit, inside your soul, your head, your heart, when you're informed of that?
Number one, I was in shock, because my thought was he brought innocent people inside of us. Those people should not have been involved. But when you think in a military perspective, as the way he was thinking, he brought his military career into a civilian sector. So he was a combat engineer. His job was to go into enemy territory to find roads and bridges, blow them up, and leave quietly. And that's what he did. That's why it was difficult for law enforcement to pinpoint who it was. And even after they caught him, they didn't have anything to hold him on. They needed to find something. The sheriff of Maryland at that time went into LexisNexis and found my restraining order. I had a lifetime restraining order given to me by the judge in Tacoma, Washington. He said, you really need to get away from this guy. I said, Your Honor, I'm really trying to do that. So the Tacoma Police Department did not put my restraining order in the NCIC, National Crime Information Center. The sheriff in Maryland found it, put it in the NCIC, which gave them the authority to hold him for violating the restraining order, which gave them the time they needed to thoroughly investigate and to bring him to trial. Had it not been for my restraining order, they would have had to let him go.
We're going to talk about the domestic violence piece here. As I said earlier, it is the 30th anniversary of the Violence Against Women Act. We'll get to that as we move through this hour, I promise you. But here's the question I want to ask now. Was this just a matter, I don't want to sound, I'm trying to frame this the right way. I don't want to say just a matter, but it was this, to your mind, solely about domestic violence with John Allen Muhammad, your ex-husband, or were there signs to you of mental illness?
Abusers are not mentally ill. They know exactly what they're doing. They premeditate everything that they're doing, even down to the point of how you will react. John was not mentally ill. He knew what he was doing. He had a plan. They even showed on the laptop the elaborate plan that he had. He bought that car in New Jersey, and he rigged it up so that the nozzle of the gun would fit into the keyhole. That was John. John was a modern-day MacGyver. And I'm pretty sure you know who MacGyver is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That is John. That was John. So any type of conversations about he was mentally ill is unwarranted. He knew what he was doing. He knew how to do it because he was trained in the military. He was an 84 combat engineer. He was on point. I was his target, and he was going to kill me. The most dangerous person in the world is one who has nothing to lose, regardless of the gender.
So if I hear you correctly, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth, so if I'm wrong, you can disabuse me of this notion right quick. If not mental illness, then as I hear you tell this story, which you're telling brilliantly and beautifully, although I know it can't be any fun to recount all of this, and I'm grateful for this time. But as I hear you, then what animated his behavior was domestic violence and this child custody issue, or am I missing something?
That's exactly what it was. Because when he had the children on a weekend visitation in March of 2000, that was my mother's birthday. He was supposed to bring them back. He did not. He emptied the bank account. He told the landlord that he would no longer be paying the rent, and he left us penniless. I tried to get help, but because I did not have physical scars, I did not get the help that I needed. And because there was no child custody in place, he had just as much a right to the children as I did, and he took them to Antigua. The people around us knew where my children were and did not tell me. However, they did report to John all of my activities. So he knew what I was doing all the time, and those people were actually sending him money to keep my children, our children, in Antigua. That's the part people don't know. They think that, oh, this just happened. He's just randomly. Nothing is random. This was totally premeditated. How did he find me in Washington, D.C.? He went to a father's rights group in Tacoma, told them I kidnapped the children. They did a skip trace on me, found me in the D.C. area, and told him. He went to his best friend, said, hey, I found Mildred. She's in the D.C. area. I'm going to go get her. He said, you're not going to hurt her, are you? That's when he came down from Washington State to Nevada, down the southern states, went up to New Jersey, purchased that car, came back, and started shooting additional people. That best friend called the FBI and said, I don't know anything about your case, but you may want to be looking for John Allen Muhammad because his ex-wife is in the area and he may be there to hurt her. That's when they came and got me and my children and put us in protective custody. This was a domestic violence child custody issue.
I'm going to circle back to that protective custody when we come forward. And I also want to circle back to John Allen Muhammad, your ex-husband, stealing your babies and taking them out of the country. I was literally up the other night, couldn't sleep, and started flipping channels and saw this movie that I've seen 1,000 times called Double Jeopardy. It's the one with Ashley Judd. Y'all have seen that movie where her ex-husband steals her son. She gets out of prison and goes on a search to find her baby. But that's a movie. This is real life, and I am curious to hear from Mildred Muhammad what it's like when your husband, her ex-husband, of course, these days, steals your babies and takes them not just away from you, but out of the country. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the protective custody and a great deal more. It's an arresting story, and I'm honored to have Mildred Muhammad telling it right now on Tavis Smile.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Brie Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Public awareness of the 988 suicide prevention hotline is up but still low. That's according to an Annenberg Public Policy Center SSRS poll. It found only 15% of respondents could correctly name the number for the hotline. Vice President-elect J.D. Vance is stating that the Trump team is interviewing candidates for FBI director, implying Christopher Wray's departure. Vance faced criticism for missing a Senate vote, but explained he was meeting with Trump to interview for government positions. Jalen Edgar, a 17-year-old accused of a deadly mass shooting in downtown Orlando, Florida, will stand trial on March 10th. He allegedly fired into crowds during Halloween celebrations, killing 2 and injuring several others. He will be tried as an adult. And Deion Sanders, the Colorado head football coach, dismissed rumors about him potentially leaving the program for another job, including the NFL. Sanders signed a 5-year contract with Colorado prior to the 2023 season. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Every business faces challenges, but shipping shouldn't be one of them. Turn shipping to your advantage with USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers got a breakout performance last night from rookie forward Dalton Knecht. Knecht dropped a career-high 37 points to spark the Lakers to a 124-118 win over Utah at Crypto.com. The Lakers have won 6 straight. Knecht made 9 3-pointers to tie a single-game record for NBA rookies. 7 of those 3-pointers came in the final 3 minutes of the third quarter. Knecht has been in the starting lineup the last 3 games in place of Rui Hachimura, who's out with an ankle injury. In the 3 games, Knecht is averaging 26 points and shooting 63%. It might be a while before we see Hachimura back in the starting lineup. Russell Westbrook earned his 200th career triple-double last night to help Denver beat Memphis. The 36-year-old Westbrook had 12 points, 10 rebounds, and 14 assists. I said it before and I'll say it again. Westbrook will still look good in a Clippers uniform. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're not just a thermometer recording and broadcasting popular opinion. We aim to be a thermostat, transforming the conversation about climate justice in our community. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk 1580.
Shop early, save big all month long during Black Friday build-up at Lowe's. Get a free Select tool when you buy a Select battery or combo kit, because Lowe's knows deals. Valid 11/7 to 11/20. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay. Izervay, get your GA going slower.
Izervay or Avastin-capted Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay, get your GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
What if you could hear your favorite song for the first time again? Introducing the all-new, reimagined Nissan Kicks. With an available Bose Personal Plus sound system that uses speakers in the headrest to create a 360-degree listening experience. You've never heard anything like this. Reimagine your music and your drive. Experience the all-new, reimagined Nissan Kicks for yourself at nissanusa.com today.
Available feature. Bose is a registered trademark of the Bose Corporation.
More honesty than you can handle.
More empowerment than you can imagine.
You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Sister Mildred Muhammad, who is the ex-wife of the D.C. sniper, John Allen Muhammad. You'll recall a couple of decades ago when John Allen Muhammad was terrorizing innocent people in the nation's capital. It was an arresting development for 3 long weeks. And if you were around then, you will recall it. As I said, I was on television and radio every day during this period, so I remember it quite well. And I'm honored to have her look back a couple of decades at what happened then and how it impacted her life and that of their kids. And we'll talk a little later in this hour about the work that she has done and continues to do since then, given that we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Violence Against Women Act. I'm pleased once again to have Sister Mildred Muhammad on this program. So Mildred, let me get to this right quick. Watching my time slipping away from me. So I mentioned a couple nights ago I was up late, couldn't sleep, and flipped channels and saw this movie Double Jeopardy with Ashley Judd that many have seen. And here she is in this film chasing her ex-husband who had stolen essentially and hidden from her son. But that's a movie. This is real life. So talk to me about what happens and how one navigates when one's partner takes their babies out of the country. Tell me about that part.
Well, when your children, for those that are out there whose children have been taken, I am in such sympathy with you, and I feel all the pain that you're going through. And when people are not listening to you, you feel like you're all alone, which is how I felt. Because no matter what I did or how I tried to do it, they wouldn't listen. Because there was no custody in place, he could take the children and do what they want, and they actually told me that. Well, there's nothing we can do because there's no custody in place. So while I was signing for a package for my mother, and I hit my head, and I ended up in the hospital. John called my mother and told her that he was going to kill me, so they had to take me out of the hospital, put me in a shelter. While I'm in the shelter, I'm trying to think of how can I get my children. I called the police. I called a private investigator. He said, Miss Muhammad, I'm going to tell you the truth. This is not my job. This is the police should be helping you to find your children. I didn't feel like a mother. I felt that John hated me so much. And the one thing that he knew would get to me was to take our children. I truly believed that he was going to wait until they went to sleep and he would shoot them in the head. I did not know when I would get my children back, but I did not waver or doubt that I would get them back. I just prayed and I say, Lord, I don't know what you're doing, but I know this is bigger than me and John. I just ask that you bring my children back to me at the appointed time and that they are healthy. I'm giving my children over to you. I felt I needed to release my children to God because I needed to prepare mentally and physically to receive my children once I got them back. So I fasted and I prayed, and every time I thought about my children, I say, Lord, I know you got this, so just help me to stay focused and encouraged on what I need to do. That's when I got my divorce, October 6, 2000. Washington State passed a law stating that if you are a victim of domestic violence, you can leave the state without being charged with kidnapping, and you do not have to let your abuser know where you're going. They gave me a lifetime restraining order because they knew the threat that was up on my life. When my sister called for me to come to Maryland to take care of my mom, I did that. Once I got there, I called the FBI because it's against the law. They came. I said, can you help me to find my children? Gave them all the paperwork. They sent it back. And they said, Ms. Muhammad, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. But since this is an ongoing case, we're going to refer you back to Seattle. He gave me the number. I called the FBI in Seattle, explained to them my children are no longer in the country. I am in fear for my life. I am in hiding. They say, well, Ms. Muhammad, since we know he's looking for you, what we want to do is put you in the middle of a parking lot and use you as a decoy. I said, excuse me, you're not going to know which way the bullet is coming from. He said, we're just trying to help you out. I hung up the phone. I'm trying to find my children. It was by the executive director of the Phoebe house where I was in the shelter. She said, Millie is my safe name. I think we found your children. Send all of your paperwork to Detective McCarthy in Bellingham, Washington. I did that. Followed up with a call. They said, well, Miss Muhammad, do you know where we are? I said, you're in Bellingham, Washington. Okay, well, we're on the border of Canada. And if he gets across the border, there will be nothing we can do. They went out and they got my children under assumed names. He changed their names so that I would not be able to find them. I had to fly back to Tacoma for an emergency custody hearing, went before the judge. The judge had him to sign the paperwork. He flipped the paperwork back to the judge. We go out in the hallway to find my children. The attorney is calling CPS to find out where the children are. He tries attacking us in the courthouse. We have to go downstairs to the police station. They would not protect us. They told us we still had to go out of the front door knowing this man was trying to kill me. So we get in the car, drive over to CPS to get the children, go back to the YWCA, wait till it got dark, got in a car, drove to SeaTac. Security picked us up from the car, took us to security. Once the plane was ready to take off, they took us from the security to the plane. We landed in BWI September 2001. My mom held on long enough to make sure I got my children back. And once she knew I had them, she passed away.
As I said earlier, it is an arresting story, and this is all the stuff that we didn't know a couple of decades ago. We were following the news about John Allen Muhammad, but this is all the backstory that we did not know. When we come forward, I want to get to this piece about protective custody. You heard Sister Mildred Muhammad say moments ago, as I did, that she still doesn't know what hotel they were in. They did go into police protective custody while John Allen Muhammad was loose, terrorizing and killing people in the greater Washington area a couple of decades ago. But she still doesn't know what hotel she was in. That's what I call protective custody. They got you in a hotel and you don't even know where you are. That is, the government can do anything it wants to do. That is a fascinating takeaway from me. I heard her say that. Don't think I missed it. And then those moments that she spent in the bathroom. I want to go in that bathroom. I want to get a better sense of what it was like screaming in that pillow with the water running in that bathroom while the kids were in the other room. It's been 30 years since the Violence Against Women Act was passed. We are celebrating it today. When you hear a story like this, you understand why you need legislation like that on the books. I digress for now. More with Mildred Muhammad when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From California to the Carolinas.
Everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Are you an entrepreneur looking to take your business to new heights? KBLA Talk 1580 is your partner in success. Every day, we celebrate and elevate Black-owned businesses across our community. Our KBLA SMB Marketplace currently features The Cookie Dip, Badass Bakes, Hair Concoction, Higher Education Accreditation Consulting, LACC Radiology Technology Department, and Malik Books. Your business deserves to be heard. Let KBLA Talk 1580 amplify your voice and connect you with our powerful community of listeners. Email smb@kbla1580.com today. That's smb@kbla1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at WalkGoodLA. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Sister Mildred Muhammad. Before we go in this bathroom and into this protective custody here, getting all kind of messages from people all around the country listening to this conversation. And here's a question right quick, Sister Mildred. Tavis, I'd be interested to know whether Ms. Muhammad's, let me try this again. Tavis, I'd be interested to know Ms. Muhammad's opinion of Isaiah Washington's portrayal of her ex-husband in the film Blue Caprice. Did you see the film?
My daughter and I watched it at home. We didn't go to the movies.
Yeah. And when you've lived this, and you're seeing Isaiah Washington portray your husband on film in this movie Blue Caprice, what are your takeaways from what you were watching?
It wasn't an accurate portrayal. Neither was, and my daughter said it wasn't an actual portrayal of Malvo, because I didn't know about Malvo, but my children did when he took them over to Antigua. So John brought Lee into the three of them as their big brother. So they were best friends with Lee during that time. And so they say, Mom, Lee wasn't like that. That's not what he would do. They got him looking weak and pathetic. That wasn't him. And that wasn't John. Isaiah Washington did an interview, and he said he may not understand, he may not agree with what John did, but he understands. And for me, that's someone with a lack of knowledge that did not comprehend that he kidnapped the children and illegally, and I legally got them back. I didn't do this on my own. I went to court like they tell us to do. But then, as always, victim blaming. The community, when they found out that it was me, they said, if you would have stayed on the West Coast, the people on the East Coast would still be alive. If How dare you call you and your children victims when none of you were hurt or killed? How dare you bring this drama into this quiet community? And if you would have stayed with him, then he just would have killed you.
That's horrific. Anybody that said that ought to be slapped upside the head.
But they needed somebody to blame.
Yeah, I get
and
it.
that was me. And for me, everyone is entitled to their emotions and their opinions. It doesn't mean that I have to internalize them, and it doesn't mean that I have to accept them.
My time is getting tight. When we come forward, I got three more things we have to cover before we lose Sister Mildred at the top of this hour and move forward. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
This Thanksgiving, Target makes hosting easy with our lowest prices of the season, like Good and Gather Premium Turkey for 79 cents a pound and quality green beans for 55 cents. Or classic stovetop stuffing on sale for $1.99 and delicious Favorite Day apple or pumpkin pie for only $4.49. Plus, get unlimited same-day delivery with a free 14-day trial of Target Circle 360 to make planning even easier. Save more on hosting. Happier holidays from Target. Restrictions apply.
Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm-fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Made fresh daily in Leimert Park,
Los Angeles, California.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
It has been 30 years this year since we signed into law the Violence Against Women Act. You hear a story like this, you understand why we need it, and you understand when you hear Mildred Muhammad why Governor Wes Moore in Maryland appointed her to the State Board of Victim Services. When you hear, wise choice, Governor Moore, when you hear her story, you understand why she is so committed to being a domestic violence victims advocate. All of that comes through, if nothing else does, in this hour that we've had. I got 4 minutes left, Sister Mildred. I want to do 2 or 3 things right quick in 4 minutes, so work with me here. Take me back to that bathroom and just that moment of being alone and trying to get that out of your system.
I was sitting on the floor screaming in the pillow because I didn't want my children to hear. I was hoping that they would just be asleep, because that was my only outlet, was to try to get my mind to a place where I could think about what to do. And once I cried it out and screamed and everything I needed to do, I got up and I washed my face and I felt better, because I had to start the process of how do me and my children move forward to live. Because for me, I didn't have anybody to talk to.
I have never been and hope to never be or have the need to be in protective custody. But are they that good? Is it that serious where you're in protective custody in a hotel and to this day you don't know where you were?
That is true. I didn't know. I still don't know where I was. But I'm going to tell you this part.
Right.
When they caught John, the FBI came up and said, Miss Muhammad, you're free to leave. But before you go, you need to pay that for that food you and your children ate. I said, well, I thought we were in protective custody.
They said you were, but we ain't paying for the room service bill.
But we didn't say we would feed you. So my sister had to pay that $200+ before they would release us to go.
Yeah, that's where the government just ain't no good. They wrong for that. They got you in protective custody. They won't even pay the room service bill. That's crazy. In the 2 minutes that I have left, I want to give it all to you to just underscore in your own words why your work with Governor Wes Moore, why your work as a domestic violence victims advocate 30 years after the Violence Against Women Act, why that is so meaningful to you. The last 2 minutes belong to you.
There are so many people out here in pain, and they are suffering because they don't have physical scars, or people don't believe them because the abuser is someone they know, and they're not understanding that a narcissist has two sides. That's why we call him Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, because I spell Hyde, H-I-D-E, because they're hiding in plain sight, regardless of the gender. Doesn't matter. There are many that don't have a voice. I'm trying to bring attention to the 80%, those who do not have physical scars, to prove that they are victims, and up to 75% who try to leave an abusive relationship or either hurt or killed. I'm looking forward, and I'm so humbled and honored to be on the Maryland State Board of Victim Services so that I can put my voice to the great work that's already being done. If you know someone that is a victim or survivor of domestic violence and they come to you for help, you should only ask one question, and that question is, how can I help you? Don't tell them what to do, because you're sounding just like an abuser. No one asks a victim, how can I help you? Because we're too busy telling them what to do. Victims don't know how to leave. Help them the best way that you can, and don't judge. I'm not going to help you because you're just going to go back. And so what? They have a choice on whether or not they want to go back, just like you have a choice on whether or not you want to help. But if you decide to step into that arena and help them, listen, don't judge, give them the opportunity to make the decisions that they feel is best for their life, because you're not living with them. Take their word of what they're saying, and please help them. This is hard. This work is difficult. And when you have nowhere to go and nobody to listen to, that's when you feel alone. And the only one at that point that can help you is God. And he will put people and resources in place to help you.
Mic drop.
And if you need to contact me, you can go to my website, MildredMuhammad.com. If you need a speaker for conferences, I'm your girl.
MildredMuhammad.com is where to find her. As I said, mic drop. That's how you close the show. That's how you close. I don't know what Daniel Black got for me next hour, but that's how you close the show. Sister Mildred, thank you for sharing this story. It's been empowering. It's been inspiring. It's been instructive and informative. I am grateful that you went back a couple of decades ago to share, I know what have to be horrible memories, but thank you for your work and witness.
No, it's not. I do this all the time.
Yeah.
I can tell my story and get up and laugh and go about my business. I'm here to help other people.
I love it. Well, you laugh on and go about your business. I got another hour to do. I thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
All right. All the best to you. More of Tavis, Smiley, when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Public awareness of the 988 suicide prevention hotline is up but still low. That's according to an Annenberg Public Policy Center SSRS poll. It found only 15% of respondents could correctly name the number for the hotline. Vice President-elect J.D. Vance is stating that the Trump team is interviewing candidates for FBI director, implying Christopher Wray's departure. Vance faced criticism for missing a Senate vote, but explained he was meeting with Trump to interview for government positions. Jalen Edgar, a 17-year-old accused of a deadly mass shooting in downtown Orlando, Florida, will stand your contract with Colorado prior to the 2023 season. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Every business faces challenges, but shipping shouldn't be one of them. Turn shipping to your advantage with